Hey, DocTesta here. I wanted to just touch base about estrogen and fat. This question came up the other day, and it's an important thing to address because as a nation, as we gain more and more weight, over 50% of us are overweight and or obese. 90 million Americans, almost a third of us are on the road to prediabetes, which is or are pre-diabetic, which is going to lead to obesity. But here's the deal. Fat, right? Our fat, especially truncal fat, belly fat, breast fat, produces estrogen in men and becomes the primary source of estrogen in women postmenopausally. So even on the spectrum, women, as your ovaries are producing less estrogen as you age, your fat, especially if you have a lot of body fat, is starting to increase. Hey, Ann. Your body fat is starting to increase and is going to release fat. So this is sort of how it happens in simple terms. The adrenal glands release hormones. Fat cells have in them enzymes that convert that to estrogen. So it just becomes a vicious cycle, and then you gain more weight. And we know for sure that estrogen is a negative, or let's put it this way: body fat is a negative for recovery of postmenopausal breast cancer. So, this affects both sexes and in men. So what can that look like? If you're overweight, if you have a big belly, you're probably pre-diabetic for one, but all that estrogen is going to reduce libido, reduce mood. You'll be more moody or potentially depressed. You will likely continue to gain more weight. Other things that muscle mass will start to decrease. You may start to have more feminine traits. Gynecomastia, it's called. It's where men develop breasts. So these are real things, and I see it affecting a lot of middle-aged men and postmenopausal women that are overweight, and all these circulating hormones are also triggers to cancer. The fat cells also reduce pro-inflammatory cytokines, TNF-alpha, interleukin-6, big words, that stimulate more of this estrogen to be converted and produced, and are pro-inflammatory. Middle-age related stuff, man, and this can be controlled by losing weight, by exercising, by time-restricted feeding, by intermittent fasting, and by prolonged fasting, 5 days of a prolonged fasting mimicking diet. And so, we're looking for solutions outside of ourselves when really it comes down to what we eat and, how often we eat, and when we don't eat, and when we exercise. Those 4 pillars, and there's no drug that's going to do it. There is no surgery that's going to fix it. There is no shot that's going to reverse it. There is just nothing that is going to do anything to reverse any of this stuff. And I hate to see it, and this is why I get on a rampage sometimes. And people are living longer, crappier lives. I see it. They get on a pill in middle age, and they live on it every day until they die, and no quick fixes. And the farther down the hole you get, the farther up you have to climb. And so the lowest hanging fruit, the thing I tell everyone where to start, is time-restricted feeding. Don't eat less often. Try to cut your eating window down between 8 and 12 hours. That is all. Just start there. Be done eating sooner than later, 3 hours before bed. And you're right, the quality of life as people get middle-aged, get on a pill, and get sicker, it ruins it. It's like, I see it so often where people just, they can't travel, they can't play with their grandchildren. And sadly, they lose a connection with their loved one, their spouse, their partner. Because if it's the male, the libido may not be there. If it's the male, the attraction may have been lost. Now look, this goes both ways too. I know that for sure. But I practiced in primary care for a long time, and no one ever talked to their patients about this kind of stuff. Here's an antidepressant. Gotta go. You know, nobody ever says that. Here's Viagra. Gotta go. Don't lose that big old belly around your midsection. So, what is it? Like, I'm in my mid-50s. I go to the doctor. I'm on 0 medications, and everybody's always shocked because I think, Ann, you're right, so many medications, and I think people in their mid-50s are on average of 2 medications. And it only goes up doubles and triples and quadruples after that as you get into your 60s with these chronic diseases. So, back to estrogen. It's affecting men and women. It's produced from fat. It is the primary source of estrogen in postmenopausal women. It is a big source of estrogen in men, right? When we're supposed to have testosterone. It affects men's libido and mood and confidence and drive and muscle tone and sexual desire. And it cycles and makes us more and more, gain more and more weight. So anyway, where do you start? Where do you start? The fastest way to reverse this, again, lastly, I'm going to stop saying it. Eat less, often. 8 to 12 hours. Be done eating 3 hours before bed, and don't skip breakfast. Simple. Start there. All right, have a great day. Be generous with your friends. Be grateful for your life and your friends. Look for it. It'll make a big difference. All right. See you in the next video.